So today we are going to discuss about one of the feature of object-oriented programming, that is Java inheritance. So again, method overriding, super keyword, final keyword is also belongs to this concept. So let's start with the Java inheritance. So what is inheritance concept in Java? So normally when you working on some automation script, or normally Java developer will write some programs, right? Suppose we have a class called something like this. So this is called as a class A, and which contains some variables, and also this contains a few methods. Okay, suppose I have created one more class here called as a B, and I want to reuse these variables and methods again in class B. Okay, suppose I want to create a certain functionality. Let's say I have one feature which is implemented by using these variables and methods. And in class B, I want to achieve one more feature 2, let's say feature 2. And if you want to implement this feature 2, I want to do the feature 1 also, because along with the feature 2 it depends on feature 1. So in B, I have created a few more variables and few more methods which are required to achieve this feature 2, or let's say functionality 2. Now in this case, if you want to achieve this feature 2 or functionality 2, we need to have the feature 1 also. So in this case, again these variables and methods we no need to create again in class B. Okay, because we already done in class A. So simply what we can do is we can just extend this class into class B. So extends keyword we have to use here. So what is this extends keyword means? When I say extends B, this B class is become a child class of this class A. So this class is called as a parent class now. As soon as we extend this class into another class, A is called as a parent class, or it is also called as a super class, and it is also called as a base class. So we can call it any name. So parent class or super class or base class. And whichever class is acquired all the variables and methods from the another class called as child class, or we can call as a subclass, or derived class So these are the multiple names we have. So inheritance is a concept by which we can acquire all the variables and methods from another class. So once we have acquired everything, whatever is belongs to class A, variables and methods, they are also belongs to class B. And we no need to redefine again in class B. We don't require it, because class A already done certain functionality, and again we are reusing this A into B. Now B is also having everything from class A. So the main reason to implement this feature is the reusability. So once we have created, we can just reuse this any number of times. Okay, this is the concept of inheritance. So inheritance is basically a concept by which we can acquire all the stuff from one class to another class. So one parent class, or we can say child class, or super class, or subclass, or base class, or derived class. So this is the connection between these two classes. Okay, this is a concept. So let me just write a small definition here. And so acquiring all the properties from one class to another class is called as inheritance. Not only properties and also behavior. This is a generic definition. From one class to another class called as a inheritance. So just simply like a parent and child relation. Suppose a parent is having certain number of certain property, let us say. So a parent is having a property, let's say a parent is having some properties. So the child is also will get the same property, right? So this is the same concept is implemented as part of an inheritance. So here two important things called as we call as a parent class or a base class, or this is a super class. So whichever class we have our main thing, right? And this is called parent class or base class or super class. And if any other class is acquired everything from this class, we can call it as a child class or a subclass or derived class. Okay, just use one of this name. Okay, don't confuse. You can call this as a parent class or child class. Okay, or a base class or subclass. This is a combination or superclass, subclass, or base class or derived class. Okay, we can just call any one of them. Normally I use call as a parent class and child class. Okay, so now, so this is the concept of inheritance. So acquiring all the behavior or properties from one class to another class. So this is called parent class and this is called as a child class. We don't need to redefine again everything. So now this inheritance, we have a five types of inheritance. There are five types of inheritance. So the one is five types of inheritance. So the first one type is single inheritance, and second one is multi-level inheritance, and the third one is hierarchical inheritance, and fourth one is multiple inheritance, and fifth one is hybrid inheritance. Okay, so these are the five types of inheritances we have: single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, multiple inheritance, and then hybrid inheritance. Okay, let's see first what are those types of inheritances. Then we will see implementation part. So this is very simple. So for example, here I have one class called, let's say, A, and if I acquired everything from this class A to class B, okay, there are only two classes now. So this is called as a single inheritance. We will have only two classes. So let's say A is a one class, B is another class. So if I acquired everything from A to B, this is called as a single inheritance. Okay, and the second one is a multi-level inheritance. So for example, class A, which is acquired everything into B. Now again I have created one more C class. Now what happens is, here C is the child class of B and B is a child class of A. Similarly, B is a parent of C and A is a parent of B. So here we need to extend and here also we need to extend. And we can create any number of levels like this: A to B, B to C, C to B. So now what happens is, B acquired everything from A. Now C is also acquired everything from B as well as A. So whatever is belongs to A and B, which is again belongs to C. Okay, so this is called as a multiple inheritance, sorry, multi-level inheritance. Multi-level, remember this. Okay, we can create multiple levels. And there is another type of inheritance, hierarchical inheritance. So hierarchical inheritance means, so for example, one class A, we can define any number of subclasses from this class. Let's say this is a B, this is a C, and this is a D. And multiple child classes we have, and there is only one parent class. All these childs are having one parent class. Now what happens is, B acquired everything from A, C is also acquired everything from A, D is also acquired everything from A. But B, C, D are independent. They are nowhere related. Okay, these are three different classes. Okay, and Urish is asking question: can A be a child of both B and C? Yes, that is also one kind of inheritance. Okay, I'll tell you that. So first one is single inheritance, second one is multi-level inheritance, A to B and B to C, and this is the third inheritance. So here A is a parent class and B, C, D are the child classes. This is called as a hierarchical inheritance. This is called as a hierarchical inheritance. This is the third type of inheritance. And then we have a multiple inheritance. In the multiple inheritance, one child can have multiple parents. One child can have multiple parents. So for example, let's say class A and class B. These are two classes, and I will define one more class based on these two classes. Okay, this is called as a multiple inheritance. This is called as a multiple inheritance. So here one child class can have two parents. Now C is acquired everything from A as well as B. So this is called multiple inheritance. Now there is hybrid inheritance is a combination of hierarchical plus multiple. Hybrid is a combination of hierarchical and multiple. So how it will be? So for example, class A, and I have derived two classes from A, let's say B and C. Now I'll get one more class called as D, which is acquired from B and C. So in the top portion, it is a hierarchical. This is your hierarchical, and bottom, this is your multiple. This is called multiple inheritance. It is a combination of hierarchical and multiple. This is called as hybrid inheritance. This is called as hybrid inheritance. So these are the 5 types of inheritance. Okay, and Urashi says, can A be a child class of B and C? Yes. So that is a comes under the multiple inheritance. Okay. So whatever I saying here comes under the multiple inheritance. So in other words, we can say like A be the child class of both and B and C. Let's say B and C are the parent classes now. So we can create one child class, right? So this is a comes under the multiple inheritance. Okay, so these are all 5 types of inheritances we have: single inheritance, multi-level, hierarchical, multiple, then hybrid inheritance. So among those inheritances, in the 5 inheritances, if we want to acquire everything from one class to another class, we use extends keyword. Okay, extends keyword, and everything is a class here. So A, B, C, D, whatever I have listed here, everything is a class. Okay, extends keyword and everything is a class here. So by using these two, inheritance is possible, and especially single inheritance, multi-level, and hierarchical. Okay, so these 3 inheritances are possible by using this class and extends keyword, but we cannot achieve multiple and hybrid inheritance by using these two one. So if you want to achieve multiple and hybrid inheritance, we have to use another concept called as a interface. Instead of class, we have to use interface concept that we will see in the next section. And instead of extends, we use another keyword called as a implements. Implements. This is another combination again. So normal inheritance, we have 5 types, and single inheritance, multi-level, hierarchical. These 3 inheritances we can implement, or we can do by using class concept and by using extends keyword. But we cannot achieve multiple and hybrid inheritance by using these two. Okay, I'll tell you why. And but if we want to achieve this multiple inheritance and hybrid inheritance, we must use, or we must go and use interface concept. Interface along with the implements keyword. Okay, so these two we'll see in the next session, and today we'll more focus on the single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, and then hierarchical inheritance. How we can implement this by using class and extends keyword. Okay, so but why it is not possible? Because here one child is having multiple parents, but extends keyword cannot support multiple parents. We cannot extend multiple parents like extend A, extend B, extend C. We cannot do that. Okay, that can be possible by using interface. That's the reason interface come into the picture. Right. So let us see now how we can do this. Let me also share a small presentation. These are types of inheritance. So here a single inheritance, multi-level, hierarchical, multiple. Here I haven't listed hybrid inheritance because that is a combination of hierarchy and multiple. That's not a different kind of inheritance. It's a combination of both two are called as a hybrid inheritance. Hybrid inheritance. So these are the 5 types of inheritance. So this is single inheritance, multi-level, hierarchical, and multiple. Now let us see one by one. So if it is a single inheritance, we need to write a syntax like this. So first we'll define one class called A, which contains some variables and methods. And then we'll create one more class called as a B, and by using extends keyword, we can acquire everything from parent class to child classes. As soon as I say extends A, and B is having its own stuff again, but it is also get everything from class A. So that is a single inheritance. Now let's implement this. So what I can do is to implement this inheritance. Okay, so I will just create a new package for today. Just a new package day 7. Okay, so now, so I will just create a single inheritance first. So what I will do is first I will create a new class. So I will name this as inheritance examples. Okay, so let's have this method and class one side. This is actual class. So you can also create different files. Classes has a different files here. But here I'm just following approach like one file contains multiple classes. So here I will define a class called as a. Okay, and I'll define something here. So in class A, I will define a variable called int A. Along with this, I will also create a method. Let's say void display of, and this method will just print value of A. I'll just write system dot out dot println. I'll just print the value of A. Okay, this is our method. So class A contains a variable and along with the method. Now I will create a one more class called as a B. Okay, and now I want to make this B as a child class of parent class A. Now I should use extends keyword. This is your extends class A. Okay, so here what happens is as soon as I say extends A, B is a child class of A. Now B is also contains everything from A. Now again B it also contains its own stuff. So now here I will define a variable called as a B, and I will also write one more method void print, and this method will print the value of B. System dot out dot println. I'll just print the value of B. Right, so this is how I need to create single inheritance. So now here B is child class and A is parent class. So this is your parent class and B is a child class. Okay, so this is how we need to do the inheritance concept. Now, so we have acquired everything class A to class B, right? So now come to the main class. So here I want to use these variables and methods in this class, inheritance example class. So how to access these variables or methods from class A and B? So here, suppose if I create an object for class A, so let's say A obj equal to new A. So now what happened? I have just created an object for class A. Now through this object, what are all things I can access now? I can access only the variable A and also display method because this object is referring to class A, right? This is only class A. Now if you observe A obj dot A, I can access A. So here I will assign some value called 100. Now A obj dot I can call the display method. That's it. I can call only, I can just call these things like variable A and along with the method. That's it. Suppose let's run this. Okay, now you got the output. So for example, if I want to create class B object, so B, now I'm creating object for class B. So let's say B obj is equal to new B. So now I create an object for class B, and this time what are all things I can access? I can access B, print, along with this I can also access A and display because B becomes a child class for parent class A. So B is also contains everything from class A, right? So by using this object, we can access everything from class B and also everything from class A. So now when I say here bobj dot, see now it shows both the variables. See A, and here I'll assign 10, and bobj dot B. So also I can assign. So I'll assign some number B. So by using object of B, I can access everything from parent class as well as child. Similarly, I can also access the methods bobj dot display, but actually this belongs to class A, but still we can access it. Bobj dot print. Okay, so here this variable, also this variable is belongs to A, and this belongs to B, and this belongs to A, and this belongs to B. But still we are able to access everything from this object, bobj object, because this is actually child class of parent class. So once we created an object for child class, we can access everything from parent class and also child class. Now let's comment this part, right? So now let's run this code. Now we'll get the output. So both the methods, both variables have initiated, and then we called both methods. This is called as a single inheritance. So we have only one parent and we have only one child class, right? So this is called as a single inheritance. Now, so I'll discuss the next one, multi-level inheritance. So in a multi-level inheritance, we have a multiple classes like A to B, B to C, and everything. So B is acquired everything from class A, C is acquired everything from class B. Means B is also have A also, right? So B means here B contains its own stuff along with the A. Now C is acquired from B. Now what happens now? C is having along with the B means B plus A. So B contains everything from A, right? So B, if I extend B, C is also get everything from B as well as A. This is called as multi-level inheritance. So the syntax will be like this: class A is a parent class, class B extends A, now class C extends B. Okay, here we need to extend and here we need to extend like this. So we can write any number of levels like this. This is called as a multi-level inheritance. Multi-level inheritance. Now let's implement this. So now I have created two classes, right? And now I will create one more class. So I will just create one more class called as a C, and this one will extends B. Now the C becomes a child class of B. It contains everything from A, B, and I will also define one more variable, integer C, and void. I will write one more method called as a show, and this method will print the value of C, right? So this time I will create an object for C now. So I'll just comment everything. So now I will just create object for C. Class C, COBJ equal to new COBJ, right? So now COBJ dot, see now it's showing all the variables A, B, and C. So why? Because this is a child class of B. So B is already acquired everything from A. So first access A, and I'll say just 10 COBJ dot B. I'll just add 20. Now COBJ dot C, I will just say 30. Okay, so now we have assigned all three variables by using class C objects. COBJ, sorry, this is C. Just a moment. Okay, and Justin is asking, can we have same method name in all parent and child classes? But that is a different concept, Justin. That comes under the overriding. Okay, that will explain in a few minutes. We have that concept. Next concept is that one. Okay, I will just talk about this. Fine. So this is a basic, just focus on this. Fine. So we have created an object of C, and by using this we can access all the variables, and then I will call the methods also. So C obj dot I will call display method first, and C obj dot I will call print method. Then again C obj dot we can call the show method. So three methods are called. Right. So now let's run this. So we'll get output of all three methods. Okay. So this is called as a multi-level inheritance. Multi-level inheritance. Okay. So now let's implement the hierarchical inheritance. So first of all, guys, are you clear about single and multi-level inheritance? How we can achieve? So please confirm on the chart window. So by using just extend keyword, it's very simple concept. So we can create any number of classes, as many of you want. So now let's implement the another kind of inheritance, that is a hierarchical inheritance. So what is a hierarchical inheritance? We have only one parent class, can have multiple child classes, but these child classes are nowhere related. Okay. Suppose in parent class I defined a method called, I defined a variable called A, and this is again belongs to B, C, and also D. Okay, this is called hierarchical. And to demonstrate this, I'll create one more class under day 7, new class. I will name it as hierarchy inheritance. Hierarchy inheritance. Right. So now keep this method one side. Now I will create different methods now. So I'm say hierarchy inheritance. Right. So let's say create one class called. I'll name directly as a parent, because all whatever names I have used in previous classes, we cannot again use the same names for defining new classes. Okay, we should use the different names, because A, B, C already I used in previous class, so I cannot use the same names, because all the classes are belongs to same package. In the same package, we should not have multiple classes with the same name. Okay, remember this. In the same package, we should not have multiple classes with the same name. Even if you take this particular file, we have multiple classes, but different names. So we should always change the names of the class. So here I created one class called as a parent. Right now in this class, I will define something called let's say int a, and again I'll just write the same method, void display. And these are very simple, just understand the concept. Okay, then we will make it as a complex. So beginning level, we need to understand with the simple things. So variable, and it contains a method. So in this method, I will just write a. So this will print that value of a. So this is an actual parent class. Now for this parent, I will create two child classes. I will create a two child class. This is the hierarchical inheritance, A to B, A to C, and A to D, right? So this is a one parent. This is a child class 1, child class 2, child class 3. Now I will create a one child class now. Class, I'll directly name it as a child 1, and which is extends from parent. Right. So now this child 1 is acquired everything from parent, and along with this, which contains its own stuff. So I will create a variable called as x, and then I will just print this value, void show, and inside this I will just write x. Okay, now we have implemented child 1, and which is acquired everything from one parent. Now similarly, I will create one more class which is also acquired everything from the same parent. Let's say child 2 extends same parent class. Suppose if I say here child 1, that becomes again multi-level inheritance, right? So here child 2 is also extend from the same parent class, but child 1 and child 2 is a completely different classes, they're nowhere related. So here it's also having its own stuff, let's say int y. Now here I will create one more method, void, let's say print, and here I will just write system.out.println of y, right? Print ln. Fine. So now I have created two child classes, child 1 and child 2, for the same parent class. Okay. Now let's see. I create object for child 1 and child 2 also. Then we will see what are all things I can access. Now come to the main class, and wherever the main method is exists, I call that as a main class. And the file is also should be saved as with this name. Okay, so the file name here, inheritance examples dot, let's this one, hierarchy inheritance.java, right? So the file name should be same as a this class name. In whichever class is having the main method, we need to save that file as a that particular name, right? So now I will create an object for child 1 and child 2 also. Now let's say child 1, let's say c1 is equal to new child 1. So now I created an object for child 1 class. So by using this object, what are all stuff I can access? I can access x and show along with this a and display. So I'll just say c1 dot see, now it's giving a and x. This is from parent, this is one child 1. So let's say a, I'll just say 100. c1 dot, I will also access x, I will make it as a 200, right? So now I will just call those methods also. Again, c1 dot display, c1 dot show. So now when I say an object for child 1, I can access the stuff from child 1 along with the parent. So now run this. Now it gives the output of two methods. Okay, so Uroshi is asking questions. Can we create these classes within the main class? I mean, no. Every class is different. Okay, so we should not create one class within another class. That syntax itself is will not support. Every class is independent. Okay, so don't confuse here. So here every class is independent. We should not write like this. Let's say class A, again which contains class B. So we should not write like this. Okay, so this is not the way of writing inheritance. So we have to write like this. So this is the way we need to write. Everything is a different class. Okay, but we can extend those class into child classes. This is the concept of inheritance. Okay, this is makes a lot of difference. Okay, that syntax itself will not support. So this is the one we need to do. So always if we want to use these classes, we must create an object for these classes, and through the objects only we need to access these methods. Fine. So now here I created an object called c1. We have assigned the variables, and also I will just call those methods. Then it gives a output. And similarly, if I create an object for child 2, and let's say c2, and say this is your child 2 class, right? So now when I create an object for c2, by using this c2 I can access everything from child 2 along with the parent. Now c2 dot, you can say a and y. So a is belongs to parent, I'll just say 100, and c2 y is belongs to child 2, I'll just say 200, and you can just give some different number. I'll just say 10 here, and I'll just say 20 here. Now I can also call those methods. So c2 is having a display method which is comes from parent, and c2 dot, I can just say what is that method we created, print. So print method we can call. So now we will get output from child object 2 also. So 10 and 20. So this is how we need to achieve hierarchy inheritance. So hierarchy inheritance is nothing but all the child classes are having a one single parent class. This is possible. But here, multiple in hybrid, in the both inheritances, there is a scenario like one child cannot acquire everything from multiple parents. One child should not have multiple parents. Okay, but this can be achieved by using interface concept, not by using class and extends keyword. Extends keyword cannot support this one. So we cannot write like this: C or extends A, comma extends B. So this syntax will not support. So this can be achieved, these two multiple and hybrid can be achieved by using interface and by using implement schema. Okay, so this will be explained in the next session. And for now, just remember these two types of inheritance: single inheritance, multi-level, and hierarchy inheritance. Okay, so once we have done this, let's go for the next concept called method overriding, and then super keyword and final keyword. So let's discuss about method overriding. This is very important topic. So in the previous sessions, we have seen a concept called method overloading, right? So what is the method overloading? So method overloading means we can create any number of methods with the same name. In one class, we can have any number of methods with the same name, but how we can differentiate them? We can differentiate them by passing different type of parameters and different type of methods. Let's say I have a class called as A. Okay, let's say A is my class, and this class contains any number of methods with the same name. Let's say I created method called m1. Again, I will can have same method. Again, I can have same method. Name can be same, but the parameters. So how they are uniquely identified: number of parameters, and then data type of parameter should be different. Data type of parameter should be different. This is the context of method overloading that we have seen earlier. So one class can have any number of methods which having same name, but how we can differentiate them? By changing the definition. Definition means number of parameters and data type should be different for each and every method. This is called as overloading, and this can be achieved without inheritance also. Without inheritance also, we can just use the overloading concept. This is fine. Now come to the overriding. See, in overriding, it seems very similar but lot of difference. In overriding, we have a class, and Preeti is asking question: if everything is same, just the return type is different. Uh, that is one of the criteria, Preeti. Here, M1, M1, M1. I have created multiple methods inside this class, right? But suppose when I create an object for A, so let's say A obj, yeah, in method overloading. Yes, this is a method overloading I talked about. Okay, so even these methods can return different things. Suppose the M1 method can return void, M1 method which will return some int type, and this will also make a difference. This return type is also make different, but the first priority will be these two. Okay, number of parameters and data type parameters. Okay, and this is method overloading concept. Method overloading, if you want to implement this, we don't need to use inheritance concept. Without inheritance also we can do the overloading. Now come to the overriding concept. In overriding, please focus on this. In overriding, let's say I class A, and this class A I created a method, let's say m1, and let's assume that this will take a two parameters. One is int, the second parameter is also int, and I created some body here. Okay, this is my method created within class A. Now I created one more class called as a B. Now this class is extend everything from class A. Let's say this is extends A. So now what happens is B is also acquired everything from class A. Now what does it mean is M1 is also belongs to B. M1 is also belongs to B. But now what I will do is I will redefine this method again in class B. So again I will write the same method. integer and integer. Okay, this is called as overriding. Now observe this carefully. In parent class, we have a method called m1, which will take two parameters, integer and integer. Both are integer, and the body we have written. Now in the child class, if we want to override this method, when we call this overriding means the method name also return type should be same. That means definition we should not change. That's the main criteria of overriding. So in overriding concept, definition should not be changed. That means it should be exactly the same. Suppose in the parent class method is returning void, in child class also should return void. In parent class method 1 is taking two parameters, in the child class also should take two parameters. If the parent class method will take two integers, this should also take integer. That means the method definition, this one should not be changed. It should be exactly the same, but we must change the body. So here the body will be different, here the logic will be different. This the body is different. Okay, so if I do like this is called as a overriding, method overriding. So what are the rules we should consider in method overriding? The method definition should be same. So definition means return type, method name, number of parameters, data type of parameters. So these are all comes under the definition. But we should change this body in the child class. That is called as a overriding. Overriding. Okay. For example, if I change the definition, what happens? In the class B, if I change the definition, then that considered as a overloading. So that will be considered as a overloading. So now M1 method from class A will be treated as a different method, and M1 method from B will be treated as a different method. If you are changed as a definition, if change your definition of this method, that will be treated as a overloading. But if the definition is exactly the same, but if I change the body in the child class, that will be considered as a overriding concept. And overriding can be achieved only through inheritance. Overriding can be possible only through inheritance, because at least we should have two classes, one parent class, one child class. So whatever method we created in the parent class can be override immediately in the child class. Okay, that's the main prerequisite of overriding. So overriding means we should have two classes, one is parent and one is child, and whatever method we created in the parent class, we should not change the body of that, we should not change the definition of that method in the child class. That's the first thing. And we must change this body in the child class. So that is called as a overriding. Okay, so within inheritance, we can use overriding and overloading. But if you want to use the overloading, inheritance is not at all required. Without inheritance also, we can do overloading. Now you guys should tell what is the difference between overloading and overriding. So this is an entry question. So what is the difference between overloading and overriding? So I'll tell you. So first difference is, in overloading, we should change the definition of the method. We should change the definition, means number of parameters and data type parameters should be different. In those cases, we can consider that as overloading. In overriding, we must change. We should not change the definition. In overloading, we should change the definition because we should able to uniquely identify those methods. But in overriding, we should not change the definition. We should change only the body. Okay, that's the one difference. The second difference is overloading can be achieved without inheritance also. We don't need to have multiple classes. Even single class itself, we can create multiple methods by changing the definition. That is overloading. But if you want to achieve the overriding, we must at least have two classes, parent class and child class. Because whichever method we created in parent, so that method we need to override in the child class. Okay, so these are the two differences between overloading and overriding. So guys, are you clear now? What is overloading and what is overriding? So this is very important question, and you people should not confuse this. Okay, so even in inheritance also we can achieve both. Suppose if I change the definition in the child class, that comes under the overloading. If I don't change the definition, that comes under the overriding. Okay, so remember this. Now let's implement this overriding concept. So if you want to implement this overriding, so what is the use case when this overriding will applicable? I'll just give you one example here. Let's go and see this overriding. Okay, so let's see this particular scenario. Okay, so I have a class called as a bank. This is your parent class, and this is normally hierarchical inheritance. Okay, so this is a bank, and which contains a method called get rate of interest. Get rate of interest. Let's say this is returning some float or double, a decimal number. A rate of interest will be return type. Now I will create multiple classes, multiple child classes for the same bank class. Let's say SBI, ICICI, and then Axis. So I have created multiple classes for the same parent class. Now what happens is the same method again belongs to each and every class. Now within these subclasses, in the child classes, I don't change the definition of this method, but I will change the body of this method. Why I should change the body of that method? Because the rate of interest will be different from one bank to another bank. So this bank rate of interest is different, ICICI rate of interest is different, Axis rate of interest is different. So the method is same. Every bank is having rate of interest, but the data will be different. So the body can be different. So what I'm doing here is I'm overriding this method into child class. Here it will return float some number, but here it will return some different number, and here some different number, and here also some different number. So that will be change in the body itself. So definition we should not change, but we should change the body. Okay, this is a one of the use case of method overriding. So let us implement this. And to implement this, this is basically hierarchical inheritance, right? Because one parent class having multiple child classes. Now let's implement this. So to implement this, I can create one more class. Sorry. Let's view. Okay, so let's open this. So I will create a new class. Okay, so I'll name it as a method overriding example. Method overriding demo. Let's take a main method, finish. Okay, so let's keep this class one side. Now I'll create these two classes. These classes first. These are class, and these are the three child classes which will derive from the same parent class. Now I'll create a class called as a bank. Right. So in this bank, I will create a method called as rate of interest. And let us say this is written a decimal number. Let's say a double. Interest rates always in the form of decimal numbers. So I'll just return double. And here I'll use a simple return statement 0. For now it is 0. Okay, this is the method I created in parent class. Let's say interest, rate of interest. So this is one parent class. Now for this parent class, I will create three different child classes for three different banks. Now let's say class SBI, which is extends from a bank. And similarly, I will create one more class ICICI, which is extends from bank. And then I create class Axis, and which is also extends from the same bank. Right, so now I created three child classes. Now I will override this method. Now if you want to override, we should not change the definition. We should write same thing, but the body we have to change. So let's say the interest rate of SBI is, let's say, 10.5. Okay, so here we should not change the definition. Suppose if the method is also having some parameters, we should not change those parameters. We should be writing exactly the same. This is called overriding concept. Now here also it's the same, but the rate of interest will be different. And here it is also same, but here I can say it drop from. Okay, so now I have changed the body of those methods in child classes. Now come to the actual main class. Okay, so this is the actual as a main class, right? Method overriding examples. Now here I'm not extending anything with this, so come to the main method. So if I create an object for the SBI, and when I call this rate of interest, it will return 10.5. So let us see now. So first I will create an object for SBI class. Let's say SBI is equal to new SBI. So here this SBI is a class name, this SBI is the object name, small letters. Now when I call the method by using this SBI dot get rate of interest, SBI dot rate of interest. So this will return some value, right? So I can just put that into system dot out dot println, because so normally we should hold that value in some variable and then we can print it, but instead of using other variable I can just print in my console by using system dot out dot println. So this time this will return actually this one from SBI class. Now same thing I will repeat. So this time I will just create let's run this first. So which method will be execute this one? So we created an object for SBI. So whichever method we created in SBI, so that even though it is extend bank, so it is extend bank means this method is again belongs to SBI. But we have overridden this method. So once we overridden this method, the latest method will be executed. So it will not consider the old one. So it should return 10.5. So let's run this. It's return 10.5. Okay. And similarly, I will also create an object for ICICI is equal to new ICICI. So now ICICI dot rate of interest. Now what this will return? This will return 10 dot. It will return 9.7. This is from ICICI Bank. Now let's print this. Right. So run this. We'll get output as a 9.7. So whichever method we called from that particular class will be executed. And the last one is we have Axis Bank here. So new Axis. Right. So by using this object, I can again call the same method, rate of interest. Now put this into method system dot out dot println Axis dot rate of interest. So now it will give you three different interest rate for the from the three different banks. So this is a concept of overriding. So the same method which is defined in the parent class is again overridden in child classes according to their requirement. So always when you do some overriding concept, we must change the body. Okay. So if you don't change the body, it will be treated as the same. That will not be the overriding. So in overriding, method definition should not be changed, but the body of the method should be changed. Okay, remember this. So this is called as a overriding, overloading and overriding. So in overloading, we should change the definition, but in overriding, we should not change the definition. Similarly, in overloading, without inheritance also we can do that, but in overriding, we must have at least two classes. One is parent and one is child class. So through inheritance only we can achieve overriding concept. Fine. So if I run this, you will get all the output from all three methods. Okay. So this is a concept of overriding. So what is overriding means? Overriding means we can just redefine the methods, same method in the child classes. That's the concept of overriding. Okay. Right. So rewrite the methods in child classes. So here we need to definition should not be changed. Method definition should be same and body should be changed. Okay, so this is the rule. These are the rules of writing overriding concept. Fine. So guys, are clear? Method overriding. Very important interview question. You guys should able to answer this. Okay. So Preeti is asking question. So why did we inherited it if we are changing it? So the base class method has not been used anywhere. Yes. So suppose tomorrow, if I want to add a few more methods, I can just add them in the base class. Okay. So because the same definition we are using every class. Okay. So this class we haven't used here anywhere, but this parent class is a base for every child class. So suppose tomorrow if I add some other method here, that is also belongs to this one because all the banks are same, functionality is also same, but little different. Like for example, this rate of interest is different, but method is same. Every bank is having rate of interest is same, but the method is different. Okay, suppose the bank is providing some loans. So here I'll create one more method called as a loans. But what kind of loans are providing SBI, that will be different, and what kind of loans are provided by other bank, it can be different. So here the main concept is, if I define something in parent class, we can again redefine the same in child classes. We can redefine the same thing in child classes according to your requirement. If I don't have that requirement, you don't need to do that. Okay, so in child class, I want to use the same method. Okay, so in that case, we can just change the body. You don't need to create any other method. You don't need to create any other method for this. You already there in the parent class, we can just use the same method in the child class, but just change that body. You don't need to create any other method. So basically this will reduce our code. This will reduce a lot of code, and reusability concept is achieved. Reusability concept is achieved. So that's the main intention of overriding concept. Okay. Even though if you are not using this base class, these child classes are using this base class. Okay, the child classes are using this base class. That's the main intention of it. So I have just taken an example to demonstrate the overriding. So how to override the methods? So in the parent class should have a method. The same method again will recreate in child classes by changing the body of those methods without changing the definition. So that is the concept of overriding concept. Okay. So is it clear, everyone? So even though if I don't use this base class, the child classes are using the base class. But in the main class, we haven't created an object for this. But still, all the child classes are derived from the same base class. So that is the use of this base class. This is indirect use. We are not directly use it, but all the child classes are using this base class. So that's the reason we should have this base class. Bank is a base class. Okay. So now is it clear, everyone? So overriding concept. We'll see so many examples in future. So we'll be very clear about it. Okay, where this can be applicable and not. Overriding is very important concept, right? So now let us see next one, super keyword and finally keyword. So can you guys please confirm on the chat window? If you're still not clear, please let me know. I'll give few more examples. Okay. Okay, so now let's go for another one called as super keyword and final keyword. So let us see super keyword and final keyword. First, let us talk about the super keyword, where we can use this super keyword. So especially this super keyword is used only in inheritance concept. So final can be used anywhere, but super keyword can be used only within inheritance, mostly in inheritance. Now let us see where we can use this super keyword. So super keyword can be used in three different ways. One is, let me just write the notes here. This is the first use. So super keyword can be used to refer immediate parent class instance variable. I'll tell you in detail. And super can be used to invoke immediate parent class method. And super keyword can be this is not keyword, this is a method, can be used to invoke immediate parent class constructor. So these are three different uses of super keyword. Let me describe this. Super can be used to refer immediate parent class. What is this immediate parent class? What is the meaning of immediate parent class? So the immediate parent class means like this. So I have a class like this, A and B and also C. Now for C, B is a immediate parent class. So for C, B is also parent, A is also parent, because C is acquired everything from B as well as A. But B is the immediate parent class. This is called as the immediate parent class for C. Okay. So the first point is super keyword can be used to refer immediate parent class instance variable. Immediate parent class instance variable. And similarly, super can be used to invoke immediate parent class method. Super can be also used in invoke immediate parent class constructor. In all three ways, all the three scenarios, we are talking about immediate parent class. Okay, so let us see how we can use this. And super keyword. The first one is, we can see super keyword can be used to refer immediate parent class instance variable. Immediate parent class instance variable. So let me demonstrate this. So to demonstrate this, I will just create one class. Let's create a class called, just a moment. Okay, I'll just name it as a animal. Okay, my class name is animal. And don't take a main method, because just simply it is a class. I am not putting main method here. So in this class, I will just write a variable. Let's say a string. I'll just say color. Animal is having certain color. Let's say a white. Okay, this is a color of the variable, and this is a variable, right? This is the color of the variable. Simply just have only one color equal to white. This is one class. So now I will just create one more class called as a test super. Let me just create one more class, testing super keyword. Let's have one, and this class I will take main method. Now observe this. So this is one class which contains a variable, right? So string color is equal to white. Okay, string color is equal to white. And here we have another class called test super, which contains the main method. So what I can do is here, along with this white, I will also create one more method. Okay, so I will just create, okay, so let it have it. I will create one more class here, class called, let's say, a dog. And this class is extends animal class. This class is extends animal class. Okay, now what I can do is, I will just redefine the same variable again here. Just a moment. Okay, so here I will just redefine the same variable. So this is also an overriding. So but here I will just give some different color called as a black. Okay, so now parent class contains a variable called color white. Now this class is extended into another class called as a dog, but here I have override this variable. Now along with this, I will also create a method here. Let's say void display color. I write a display color method. So here I will write system dot out dot println. I'll just say color. Okay, this is my situation. And Justin Uroshi is asking, access modifier not needed in front of class dog. That is up to you, Uroshi. If you want to put public, that class can be accessed anywhere. If I don't put any access modifier, that will be treated as a default. Okay, so default is also one of the access modifier. if I don't specify anything, that will be considered as a default access modifier. You can just put public, nothing wrong in this. Okay, fine. So I have created an animal class which contains a variable called as a color. The value of this is white. Now immediately I created one child class called as a dog, which is extended from animal class. Now here I have just override this variable with a different value. Now when I call this display color, okay, now this is the actual class. Now come to the main class. So I have created main class as a different file this time. Okay. So in the main class, I create an object for dog. Let's say D new dog. Okay. Now you guys should tell if I say dog does display color. So what is an output I will get? So here I created an object for D, that means dog, and I call the display color. So this will automatically call this method, and internally I printed the value of color. Okay, so I printed the value of color. So B dog is already extended from animal, right? So this variable is also belongs to this one, but we have overridden with the new value here. So what happens here is when I call display method, it will call this one and it will print the color. So in this color variable, whichever is the latest value, that will be printed as an output. Okay, so in this case, we must get the color as a black. Now, if I run this main class, you will get an output as a black. This is our expected value. But for example, I want to capture the value of immediate parent class variable. So what is immediate parent class for this dog? Animal is an immediate parent class. So I want to capture this value. Instead of this value, I want to retrieve the parent class value, parent class variable value, immediate parent class variable value. How we can get it? If I want to get this, we have to use super keyword. Super dot color. Now what this keyword will do is it will go and capture the value of immediate parent class variable. Okay. Now when I run this will give you white also. Along with this black, it will also give you white. So this particular statement will point to the immediate parent class variable. So that's the first usage. Now you read the statement, you can understand. Super can be used to refer immediate parent class instance variable. So what is the instance variable? This is the instance variable of immediate parent class. Now here we use super keyword to refer immediate parent class variable. Okay, suppose if I don't use this super keyword, normally it will take the latest value. But if I use super, it will consider or it will take the immediate parent class variable. That's the first usage of super. So super can be used to refer immediate parent class instance variable. Okay, so guys, are you clear this first point? So how we need to use the super to refer immediate parent class instance variable, right? So this is a simple example. Now let's go to the second one. Second one, super can be used to invoke immediate parent class method. Invoke immediate parent class method. Super keyword can be used to refer immediate parent class method. So for example here, I will also add one more method here in the parent class. So I will write void, let's say eating. This is our method. Inside the method, I will write system.out.println. I will just write some method called as eating. Okay. I'm not mentioning what it is, just eating. Okay. This is a method I created in the parent class. Now I will override this method in the child class now. So display color, let it be having. So along with this, I will just create the same method again in the child class. Now here I will just change the body. So eating, I'll just say bread. Eating bread. So what I have done is I have just overridden this method into child class because just definition is same. I have just modified the body. Okay. So for now, I will just disable this display color method. Right. So now let's see the second point. So super can be used to invoke immediate parent class method. Immediate parent class method. Remember this. Now come to the main class. So now what I have defined is in a parent class we have a eating method Now don't forget about this variable. Okay, now let's focus on the method. So in the parent class we have a method called as eating, and the child class also we have the same method eating, but the body is different. Okay, now when I create an object of dog here d, and I call d dot eating. Okay, so what could be the output for this call? Can anyone guess what is an output for this? So when I call d dot eating, which method it will call? This automatically call the latest method. This is method is overridden in the dog class, right? So it will give you eating bread. This is perfectly right. Fine. So now what my requirement is, I want to invoke the immediate parent class method. Okay, so I want to invoke the immediate parent class method, this one. So how we can invoke this? I can invoke this by using super keyword. Let's say super dot eating. Super dot eating. Now what happens is when I call this eating method from here, first it will print this one eating bread, and then this one will refer to the immediate parent class method. Super dot eating means it will go up, and here it will execute this method. Okay, so here the context is super can be also used to invoke immediate parent class method. But in the first example we have seen it is invoked immediate parent class variable, but this time I'm talking about immediate parent class method. Immediate parent class method. Now let's run this. Now you can see eating. This is also coming from the parent class method. So that means the super keyword can be also used to invoke parent class method. Okay, so that is another use of super keyword. So one is to invoke or refer immediate parent class variable, or it can also use to invoke immediate parent class method. So that's the second usage of super. This is a keyword. Okay, just we can use a keyword. And super is also can be used to invoke immediate parent class constructor. Immediate parent class constructor. So what I will do is I can just comment this. This time I will write a constructor. Okay, now so in the parent class I will write a constructor. How to write a constructor? Constructor should be same name as a class name, right? So here I will create animal. This is my constructor. So in this constructor, I will just write a small message system.out.println. So here I will just write animal is created. Some message I have created in constructor. This is a constructor. So name of the constructor should be same as a class name. Fine. So now in the child class also I will create one constructor. So here if I create one constructor, that name should be same as a dog class, right? So I'll create a constructor called as a dog, and here I will write system.out.println. Here I'll just say dog is created. Okay, this is a constructor. Child class we created one more constructor. So now parent class is having one constructor, but constructor name should always same as a class name. So that's the reason in the parent class I given animal, and the child class I have given as a dog. Now when I create an object for D, at the time of object creation itself the constructor will be invoked, right? So that we already know about it. So here I created an object for dog class. So which constructor will be invoked? Can anyone guess which constructor will be invoked? When I say dog D is equal to new dog, so as soon as I created this one, so it should invoke one constructor. But in the dog class we have one constructor, and dog is also extended this class animal, right? So when I execute this, it will give you both outputs. So what does it mean is it is executed or it is invoked dog class constructor, and also it is invoked animal constructor, which is come from the parent class, because dog is already acquired everything from animal class. So both have been executed. Animal is created, dog is created. So both constructor are invoked at the time of object creation. Okay. So for example, here in the dog itself, if you want to invoke the parent class constructor from here, okay, from here I want to invoke the parent class constructor. So how we can do that is I can invoke this by using super keyword. So how to do this? Just use super. That's it. We don't need to specify any name of the constructor. Just add a super in the dog. So what it is giving, constructor call must be the first statement. Okay, so this cast statement must be the first statement. Okay, then we need to write the rest of the statements. Now observe this. So here when I call this dog object, immediately dog constructor will be executed. But inside this, if I want to invoke this one parent class, immediate parent class constructor, then I should use super keyword here. But here this time we need to add brackets. Okay, so super keyword can also be used to invoke parent class constructor, that is animal. There's a parent class constructor. From the child class we are invoking the parent class constructor. So here dog is a constructor of child class, and here super is a keyword. This will invokes parent class constructor. Parent class constructor. Okay, now let's see now. So what is an output we will get now? Three outputs we will get. Sorry, two outputs. So one is animal is created. When I call this, immediately dog method is executed. Okay, and here we call super keyword, right? So when I say super keyword, it go and executed this animal constructor from the parent class. So that's the reason this time it comes animal is created first, and then the dog constructor is executed. So this is the output message we are getting here. So what is the difference between previous one and this one? Let me just comment this. Now you try. So same thing, right? So animal is created. First one executed this constructor, animal constructor. Now the second constructor is executed, dog constructor. Even if you use this super keyword, okay, so this will invoke the immediate parent class constructor. Now again run this code, and again it will execute first animal is created, that means parent class constructor, and also child class constructor. Okay, so this is also used for invoking the parent class constructors if you require. Yeah, same thing. Okay, there is not much difference. Okay, both are same thing. So super keyword is also can be used to invoke the parent class, but a small difference is here. But here in the first method I have just created an object here. So from here itself it is invoking the both the constructors. One is from child class and another is from parent class. Both are invoking from here. But when I say super, this time the parent class constructor will invoke it from this particular method. So from this particular constructor, because we created the super keyword inside the constructor, right? So first it will call this constructor, and then super keyword call the parent class constructor, then it will execute this one. So that's execution wise it is different internally, but the output wise there is no difference. Okay, so this is another usage of super keyword. There are three purposes. One is super can be used to refer immediate parent class constructor, and this is the same usage, Justin. If you want to invoke the parent class constructor, we can just use this super keyword in the child class constructor. Okay, in the child class constructor we use this because from here we invoke this parent class constructor. So here itself it is used. Here itself it is used. Even though if I don't use here, if I call like this, you can still do it. So this constructor will be invoked, right? So even if you remove this, here this will invoke. So dog d is equal to new dog will be invoked this constructor from the child class. Now when I execute this, it will also give the same thing. So animal is created, dog is created. That means it is executed the parent class constructor and child class constructor, because we have extended the parent class. This approach is different because we are invoking the both the constructors through single object. But here why I have to use super? If you want to invoke the parent class constructor through child class constructor, so then super come into the picture. Okay, the output is same, the internal approach is different. If you want to invoke the parent class constructor through child class constructor, then we need to use super here. We cannot just specify the animal like this. Okay, this is not the correct way of specifying this. So if you want to invoke this parent class constructor through this constructor, and then I must specify this super keyword. Okay, this is how we need to use here, but not from here. Okay, so here you can see the difference from not from the main method. So the super method is also can be used to invoke immediate parent class constructor. Okay, so remember this very important concept. Now we have discussed about super keyword. Now let us go for the last one called as a final keyword. This is also very important. Next one is a final keyword. So what is this final keyword? So final keyword can be used to define a variable. For example, when I say a variable called int is 10, right? So this variable value can be changed later. Suppose if I want to change this value, you can simply say a is equal to 20, right? So this value can be changed. But if I say that variable as a final, it will not allow you to change this value. What does that mean is final is nothing but a constant. We cannot change that value of that variable. That's the basic purpose of final. So if you want to restrict, if you want to, if you should not change this value in future, if you want to restrict that variable like that, we should specify the final keyword. That means the value of this variable cannot be changed in future. But not only this, there are three usages of this final keyword. So final keyword can be applied for variable, and final keyword can be applied for method and also class. So it's having different purposes. If I use the final keyword for variable, that variable value we cannot change. But if I apply for final for method and class, what is the effect we will get? Okay, that we will see now. So there are three things we have that we need to remember here. So final keyword can be used in three different ways, right? So if I apply the final keyword for the variable, you cannot change the value of that variable. You cannot change the value of the variable. So this is the first rule. If you apply the final keyword for a variable, the value of that variable cannot be changed. That's the first thing. Now let's show you. Let me just create one more class. Okay, so here I'll just name it as a final variable. Final variable demo. Let's take a main method finish. Okay, so when I say a variable as a final, that variable value we cannot change. That's the first rule. Okay, so let's see. I'll create a global variable here at the class level. Int just say speed and is equal to, let's say, 40. Okay, so this is a variable and a number I have assigned. So this is a normal variable. So if you want to change this value, we can still change it. Okay, so this value we can change it. So where we can change this value? Here we can access this class name. If I want to access this variable, I must create an object for this class here. Final variable demo. Let's say fm is equal to new final variable demo. I just created an object. By using this fm dot speed, I can just change this value to 100, and then I can just print this value. Okay, so I can just print system dot out dot println, right? Println fm dot speed. I can just print that value here. Okay, so observe this. I have created a variable called as a speed, which contains a number called 40. But here within the class, after creation of object, I have changed that value. I make it as 100. Now when I run this code, this will give you 100. Perfectly fine. But I want to make this variable should not change by any other objects. So what I could do is I can just say this is the final. So as soon as you set the final, it start giving an error here. So what it is saying, the final field, final variable demo dot speed cannot be assigned. Cannot be assigned. That means we cannot modify that value. And what suggestion it is giving, remove final modifier of speed. So it is asking us to remove this final, then it is allowed us. So this will give you compile time error. compile time error means it gives the red line. We cannot execute our code. This is incorrect. So what we understood based on this is, if I say a variable as a final, the variable value we cannot change. That is a constant. This is a final variable, so we cannot change this value. Okay, this is the first usage of final keyword. Now final keyword is also can be used for method. So if I create a final method, what happens? So if I say a method as a final, the method cannot be override in the child classes. Method cannot be override in the child class. That is another usage. If I say a method as a final, the method cannot be override in the child class. Okay, so let's see the example. So if I create a method as a final, the method we cannot override in the child classes. Let me just create one more. I will just say final method demo. Final method demo. Let's take a main method. So if I say a method as a final, that method we cannot override. Let me just create a class here. Let's say class, I'll name it as a bike. Okay, so I'll just create one method here, void run. So in this method, I will just write system.out.println, and this is, I'll just say only running. Okay, so now I have created a method within the by class. Now if I create a child class, let's say class Honda, which is extends by class. So observe this carefully. So now Honda is a subclass of or child class of by class, because we extended this class. Now we can override this method here, right? So we can just override. You can just change something like instead of running, it's just a started. So I have changed the body. So this is perfectly right. So in the parent class we have a method, and child class we have overridden this method. Perfectly right. But if I want to restrict this overriding, I can just say a method as a final. So as soon as I given this final, here it giving the error. So you cannot override final method from byte. So what's the suggestion it is giving? Just remove final modifier of byte. So when I say a method is a final, we cannot override that method in the child classes. That is the usage of final keyword with the method. So here this is a final method. So we cannot override this method in child class. So that's the reason here it is giving compile time error. Compile time error. Okay, this is another usage of final. So to restrict the levels, access levels. Suppose if I provide this class to some other guy, okay, he created an object and he can use all your methods. Suppose some methods you don't want to give to that guy. So what you can do is you can just make it as a final. So he cannot override all these methods. Okay, so final keyword can be also used with method. So in those cases, we cannot override that method in the child class. That is another usage of final. So we have seen two uses. One is if I use that final keyword for the variable, that variable we cannot change that value. We cannot change that value of the variable. So that means that's a constant. And if we apply final keyword for the method we cannot override into child classes. We cannot override them into child classes. Similarly, if I say a class is a final, the class we cannot extend into another class. If I say a class is a final, so that class cannot be extended into another class. Suppose I want to restrict my access level, so I have created my class. I don't want to extend this class into any other child classes. So then what should I do? I should just change a class as a final. Now you can say this class is a final. Now here it is giving error here. See now the type Honda cannot be subclass the final class bike. So first of all, here itself it is not allowing to extend it by class into child class, because we said a class is a final. Okay, so if the class is a final, the class we cannot override into child class. Okay, so that's another example. Let me just create one more example, then you guys can practice. Okay, so let me just create one more. Final class demo. Okay, so what is the final usage of class? If I create a class with final, let's create a class called bike one. Okay, this is a class. So let's say I have one variable and some methods. Okay, normal. So now I will create one more chain class called class one. Now I'm trying to extend this class. Extends. So here it is fine. No issue at all. Class Honda one extend. Extends bike one. So here no issue with this. No error also. So here we can extend this bike one into Honda one class. But when I say bike is a final class and we cannot override here. So we cannot extend the class first of all. Okay. So here the class is final. This is our final class. So we cannot extend into child class. So this will throw compile time error. Okay, so these are the three different purposes of final keyword. So remember this: if a variable is a final, the value we cannot change, that is constant. If a method is a final, that method we cannot override into child classes. And if a class is a final, the class we cannot extend into another child class, any other child classes. Okay, so that's the main purpose of final keyword for variable, method, and class. Okay, so is it clear everyone? So how to use this final keyword for variable, method, and class? Fine. So that's all for today. I'll just stop it here, and I'll give some assignment here. I'll send this presentation, you guys can go through it. I've covered everything now. Final methods and assignment. So this is just to use inheritance concept, and create one class called as a teacher, which contains a variable, two variables, and one method called as a does. So inside this does method, just write a system.out.println and teaching. And once you created this class, just create one more class as a child class, that is computer teacher. And within this class, just extend this teacher class. Okay, and then we'll get all the variables and methods, and then create an object for this create one more main class, and then create objects for computer class, computer teacher class, and then try to access these variables and this particular method. Okay, this is basically use the inheritance concept. You guys should do, let's say, create teacher class. Okay, and create all these variables and methods here, and then create one more class called as a computer teacher, right? And extends teacher class. Now here just use this variable, or can we override this variable, and then create a main class, and then create an object for this child class and access all the variables and methods. Okay, so just try this as an assignment and inheritance, and rest of the things we'll see tomorrow, and the rest of two types of inheritances we will discuss tomorrow. So this one, multiple and hybrid, can be achieved only through through interface concept, because extension class doesn't support multiple. So that's the reason we have another concept called as an interface. Okay, so that we'll see tomorrow. So that's all for today. If you have any questions now, you can ask me. I'll just stop it here.